it is. Barton Bond Library. This thing's gonna glow at noon. It's gonna be 12:25, I think, exactly. And all the walls are gonna glow. Watch. I'm making this video. It's like the north side. You see how the north side's got vertical shades and the south side's got horizontal shades? So it blocks, that keeps out the winter sun. Keeps in the winter sun and out the summer sun. And all the both north facing east and west walls. Still kind of solar noon. Oh yeah, it's already past solar noon. Oh no. Library. Fifth floor, right? It's like fifth floor is what's happening, but that's where I've been before, and it's like all the walls of the building glow at a certain time, but you gotta know when that time is. Is this the fifth floor? It's the fourth floor. It's only starting. You can see, see the top of the wall? It's only starting. I guess it's cool just to watch it. Watch. Like that whole wall and this wall at the same time are both gonna totally glow. I guess we're just gonna wait. It's beginning. Let's see if we can get a better focus on it with the video. The still camera, it gets sharper, but this whole side, well, the whole wall is going to start glowing, and that wall, you see it's just beginning to glow over there too. Cool.
Can you hear me? Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. Welcome to Phoenix Public Library's 22nd Annual Summer Solstice event. My name is Jerry Ann Thacker, and I'm a librarian here at Burton Barr. I have a couple questions for you. How many of you are joining us for the first time? Oh, very nice. Welcome. And for those of you that come back year after year to share this experience, thank you for helping us make this ongoing success. For those of you who are new, get ready to experience a little bit of architectural magic. One more show of hands. How many of you have a Phoenix Public Library card? Oh, very good. Wonderful. Today we want to encourage everyone to sign up for a library card before you go. If you do not have a card, it's free for residents in Maricopa County, and staff at the customer accounts desk on the first floor can help you sign up for a card. Who here has signed up for the summer reading program? Oh, well, that's what we need to do today. If this is your first time hearing about it, the summer reading program is for all ages, children, teens, and adults. You can earn free books and other prizes simply by reading and keeping track of your reading over the summer. As of today, we have approximately 26,000 participants in the summer reading program. So you guys want to be sure and sign up before you go, okay? You can ask at any of the customer service desks here, and they can give you instructions on how to get started. It's free, it's fun, and you get prizes just for reading. We all like to read, right? Yeah? Okay, good answer. All right. So we've been listening to music from Rosie's House. If you missed their introduction, Rosie's House is a community music school in downtown Phoenix that offers 100% free instruments and instruction to approximately 400 students from all over Maricopa County. If you're interested in learning more information about Rosie's House programs and mission, please visit their website, which is www.rosieshouse.org. If you'd like to get involved or learn to enroll your children in classes, Catherine Reed, right over here in the bright green shirt at this table, will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Our performers have been fantastic today. This is them right over here to the right. Give them a big thank you for joining us. We would also like to thank the Friends of the Phoenix Public Library for their continued support. We're very grateful to them for funding the Summer Solstice program this year. We have a fun-filled day with events for all ages occurring on floors 1, 2, and 4 from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. today, so after this program. In addition to award-winning architecture, Burton Barr houses hidden treasures in its unique collections. After the Solstice presentation, head down to the Arizona room on the second floor, where we'll delve into some of the highlights of the fascinating local history collection. Tours are at 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. That's floor 2 at 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Today from 1 to 3, there are activities on the first floor in the children's area. Come learn about the sun and summer solstice and complete 3 fun craft activities for kids. The first 100 kids will receive free eclipse viewing classes. That's floor 1, and that's between 1 and 3 p.m. Between 1 and 4 p.m., you can drop into the rare book room on the 4th floor and print a poem by Phoenix Poet Laureate Rosemarie Dombrowski on our 1895 Washington hand press. That's floor 4 between 1 and 4 p.m. in the rare book room. We're lucky enough today to have Rosemarie here with us this morning to read her poem. It's entitled A Prayer for Sonoran Arrivals or Departures. Rosemarie Dombrowski is the founder of Rinky Dink Press, the co-founder, host of the Phoenix Poetry Series, and an editor of 4 Chambers. Her collections include The Book of Emergencies, which was the 2016 Human Relations Indie Book Award recipient in the Personal Challenge category, and The Philosophy of Unclean Things. She teaches courses on radical poetics and creative ethnography at Arizona State's downtown campus. Additionally, she is the inaugural Poet Laureate of Phoenix, Arizona. Please help me welcome Rosemarie Dombrowski.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. It's an honor to be here this year. Thank you for supporting reading, the literary arts, and all the programming that takes place at the Phoenix Public Libraries. Again, the title of the poem is A Prayer for Sonoran Arrivals or Departures. Dive into the horizon. Weave between concrete and sky. Bury ourselves between saguaro spines and wing bones, layers of granite, sandstone, and ash. Offer blessings to the ridges that will swallow us like geologic time. Honor everything that will outlive us. The vision of the desert at dusk, the light of our human resilience. Thank you.
And once again, that was Phoenix Poet Laureate Rosemarie Dombrowski. Okay, are we ready for the show? His name is Will Bruder. And now I'd like to introduce Will Bruder, the design architect of the Burton Barr Central Library, who will guide us through our summer solstice celebration. Will arrived in the Valley in 1967 to apprentice with Paolo Soleri. Am I saying that correctly? Okay, great.
Hello.
And opened his own practice in 1974. He received the design commission for the library in 1989, and Burton Barr opened in 1995. Will continues to work with the library team on updates and additions to keep Burton Barr a state-of-the-art library facility. Will is known for his concern to details and building processes, and his unique sensitivity to site, space, materials, and light. You may know his local projects that include the Agave, Cholla, and Mesquite branch libraries, as well as the ASU Deer Valley Petroglyph Preserve Center and the Scottsdale Museum of Contemporary Art. Will is a past recipient of the Arizona Governor Arts Award, and he is a fellow of both the American Academy in Rome and of the American Institute of Architects. Please help me welcome Will Bruder.
Thank you very much. So I see a few familiar faces out here. How many is this your first experience in the room for the solstice? That's great, we got a lot of newbies. That's very good. So what I'd like to do is start the conversation right now by positioning you in the best way possible. So everybody get up, turn your chair around, and face north. That's where the cool sun is, not the hot sun. It's all pretty hot today. So you can sit back down now, because we are about 15 minutes away from solar noon. So we're going to give you a little background on why this space exists, a little storytelling. But while you're listening to the conversation or the talk here, look first over to your left-hand side. So look to the west. So over on the west, you see what looks like a outline of a mountain range in shadow over on the west wall at the top where the skylight is. So you're going to watch that, and so we've got a little bit of time, and for the first 10, 12 minutes, it's going to be like watching a teapot boil. It's going to be very slow. You're going to be saying, well, it never happened. So as we're talking here, that light is going to cascade down all the way to the floor. So watch the light, that's the bright light under the narrow skylight, and you're going to see it constantly changing while we talk. When it gets to the bottom of the floor, it hits the floor, then you're going to have to look to the east, and it'll start climbing that wall from the ground up. And we'll talk about why that is. Now, the library is sort of the center of a cultural happening in our community. The library's been here since 1912, originally as a Carnegie Library over near the state capitol. It then existed across from the Art Museum on McDowell, just north of here, and it was half as big, and 2 floors were underground. In 1988, under the direction of Mayor Goddard, there was a major bond issue passed, and this became one of the bonded cultural buildings. So $43 million was set aside to build a new library for Phoenix, and it became a building that's 7 acres in size. You're sitting in the biggest reading room in America, the top of this building. Now, as part of the process of designing this building, the thing that's most important for architects to be are good listeners. And we had 28 citizen meetings with all kinds of your friends and neighbors, all kinds of different groups, from historic preservation types to kids to homeschoolers to business people, 28 citizen meetings. And they all gave their input, and that's why, in part, the building has been so successful, is because you all felt you made it happen, and you did. So, as we looked at the program for this massive library of the future, and this was at a time in 1990 when computers were sort of still in their infancy. Nobody was tweeting back then, thank God. But anyways, what you have happening is that librarians have been the caretakers of knowledge since the beginning of time. And with the transition to digital information as well, they're not just caretakers anymore, but they're navigators. Navigators just like out of a sci-fi book. They navigate us through the knowledge of the universe and the world. So as we looked at how the library would set up, we knew we had to have an acre room to put all the nonfiction books. So surrounding you to that model are all the circulating nonfiction books in the library. There's very few computers up in this part of the operation. That happens more internally. And we thought it would be a great opportunity and a privilege, rather than making this the attic of the building, to make it a great public room, because typically we climb mountains around Phoenix to see the skyline. We don't always have the privilege of being in a building and seeing the skyline. So we thought that would be a pretty cool idea. So we have books, we have 320 desks for you to study at, and they became these common tables that you're sitting at right now with their glowing yellow lights. And so community comes together for happenings of time and space and knowledge in this room, and we gave the room form. Now you're starting to see a little bit of movement, and if you don't look at the west wall really all the time, the 15 minutes is going to go much faster. So move your eyes around a little bit, check it out occasionally, and you'll see the shadow moving down. Now, I came here exactly 50 years ago this past Sunday and got off an airplane with no gate, tunnel, right into the heat. It felt just like today. So, you know, this is the desert. We are here to celebrate the solstice, which is the beginning of summer. This is the first day. Tomorrow the days will be shorter than they are today, and it'll be a while before they'll be cooler. I've always been intrigued with light, and that's the success, I believe, of great desert architecture. So I had the good fortune as a young man working on a building in Tempe, little gymnasium, to be there when this gymnasium, which was to have no skylights, was under construction. I went there on my lunch hour to look at the building, and suddenly, through the little seam of construction, because there was no roof on it, just the structure, the walls were draped in light, just like we're about to see. So that was in the early 1970s. So 20 years later, when I had the privilege of doing this building, I thought that was a pretty cool, remarkable thing. So I talked to my engineers about how we could make a roof float, literally float on light. And so I asked Mike Ishler, the master engineer that calculated the idea of the structure of this, and I said, what I'd like you to give us is a roof that can have skylights that are 6 inches wide on the perimeters of the east and the west. And then I'd like you to give me a roof structure that would allow there to be a skylight, a pool of light at every column holding up the roof, to really emphasize the illusion of a floating roof. So that's what you're sitting in right now, is the great reading room under a tensegrity roof. Some of you might know the name Buckminster Fuller. He designed the dome. That's what he's quite famous for. And that was based on a structural idea of tensile strength. So all of these cables connected at the top of the columns are analyzed very simply as tensegrity net. It's almost like cats in the cradle. It's a very minimal idea, and the idea had to combine with a very modest budget, because this building was built for less than $100 a square foot when the building was built. So we come to this room now not to position ourselves in Phoenix, not to position ourselves in the Southwest, but we're about to position ourselves in the universe. So this is big, out-of-the-box sort of thinking. We realize that the Earth goes around the sun. The sun's what's generating the light for the event today. And through time, people have celebrated the start of a planting season, the equinox. The winter solstice is different than the summer solstice. Human activity on the planet has always been powered by the sun. So why solar noon? Stonehenge, after all, has people celebrating at dawn, but it's out in the wilderness. And it's not a closed public building at dawn. And so we knew it had to be noon. There's a nice poetry of noon, where we sort of go from the cool of the morning into the heat of the afternoon. And so we designed this feature to be celebrated with all of you here today. Every year it happens. There's no technology with it. It's not connected to software or motors or anything else. It just is the natural flow of the sun. Now we're starting to see some serious movement on the western wall. And you can see it even looks more like a mountain landscape. And you see all these shadows and reflections coming down like a cascade of waterfall of light. And what looked like a perfectly flat wall a couple of minutes ago, and if you look to the east now, look to the east there, right to your right, please. The wall is barely in light, it's just the indirect light, and look how flat it looks. Now look back on the west wall, and look how cattywampus it looks. It's warped, it's uneven, because you cannot hide from the purity and the truth of light. So in that scrim of light that's cascading, suddenly edges of those concrete panels carry light as if they were a hole in the wall, carry shadow as there was a deep mystery happening. And so the light comes down on the canvas. So every day when you come here, you experience what you're watching on that wall. Every day you can come up here, cool days, warm days, Solar noon, you'll be treated at least to the idea of where you are in the universe. You can't forget it, okay? But the solstice is special in that we position the skylights over the columns to be filtered with this beautiful blue light, because we knew it would be a hot day always on the summer solstice. And I had the good fortune, before I designed this building, to visit a glacier in Alaska, and that is the color of glacial ice, one of the coldest things on our planet. Any of you that have been to see that know it's true, and National Geographic wasn't just pinning the photographs that we got way back when I was a kid. So that's glacial blue light. It's a 7-foot diameter pool of light, cool light over each column. And there's a little polka dot that you see of clear up in that blue field. That's 7 inches. You know, architecture is about engineering, it's about numbers, it's about scale and proportion. So we have a 7-inch little window of clear light in a 7-foot pool of glacial blue ice. Now, it's not in the center. It's exactly where that little polka dot of light has to be at this latitude in the world for the summer solstice to project into each one of the tips of our candle-shaped columns, and where all the cables come together up on the top there, you're starting to see a little V, a little dagger of light. So right now you want to start looking at keep looking at the west wall, but start looking up at the column tips. Has everybody seen how all the candles in the room are being lit like a birthday cake? So you're seeing a fairly clear dagger of light, and while it looks like, gee whiz, it must be noon, it's not. So when the pattern of light comes down the west wall in about another 5-7 minutes, and kisses, we got a little bit of pollution today, we got a little bit of overcast, so it's not perfectly clear, but I'm watching it closely, and somebody over near the wall there, you're going to see light kissing the floor on the west. And as soon as you see that, we're starting to see light on the eastern floor at the bottom of the wall. So while the light comes down like a drape from the sky on the west, it will climb out of the earth on the east side of the room, and there'll be this moment when it's truly solar noon, when both walls are perfectly the same pattern of light rays, because the sun is so far away from us that it can project its light onto 2 parallel walls in a room. Sort of a strange concept. This is real news, and it happens like clockwork with the sun. Now, you know, it was a long time before man accepted that there's earlier times people thought that the sun moved around the earth. But by the Renaissance, people were starting to figure out that maybe that wasn't correct. Maybe there was something else happening out there. And it's interesting because when I was at the Academy in Rome, I went to a cathedral, a Catholic cathedral in Bologna, and on the floor of the aisle of the church, the Pope must have said, hey, I think something's up. I think we're going to have to change the way we think about the world. And there is a tracking of the sun through small apertures in the western aisle of the cathedral in Bologna, Italy. Bologna. So people have always played with light. Some of you that are into Southwest mythology and history know of the solar dagger at Chaco Canyon, which is a primitive site. We know of the solar observatory at Chichen Itza in Mesoamerica. There's a fascination with humankind about understanding our positioning in the universe. So now we're just kissing. I see light at the floor over against the wall on the west. So right now we're probably 5 minutes away from solar noon. The light's breaking through right now. It's that the haze we had a little while ago is getting better. And you're seeing the sun come into alignment. Now, a simpler thing to look at for centering, you look at the center elevator in the glass tower. There's 3 glass towers, there's yellow lights over on the west, and there's the red ones on the right, framing the moment in the center. And in the center, you see a big elliptical hyperbolic pattern of light that's coming from the skylights over the atrium, the Crystal Canyon. And see right now, they're not symmetrical, so that's another thing you can watch here. And that light is going to move, that funny elliptical shape form hanging is going to keep moving to the right during the next 5-10 minutes. And that's when between that element and we're now seeing light come down the east wall. And the first place you're seeing it is looking at the top of the panel, seeing how suddenly you see lines of sunlight coming down the joints of the panels, just like they are on the west side. See the first light coming down the wall now? It's just the start of it. And that's coming from the bottom up rather than the top down. It's really interesting because it's just the way the sun is coming over now. Correct that, it is coming from the top down, but the alignment's going towards the wall. I get excited this time of year, every year. It still works after all this time. So right now we're moving. We've got about 4 inches on the sundial in the center of the room on the elevator tower. We got about 3 inches for it to adjust to the right. You now see light at the connection point of the X's over the Crystal Canyon. You're looking off into the haze through the shade fins of the north facade. We still have a little bit of time because see how you've got all the good reflections over on the left here? Over on the west, there's interesting halos of light. This has been one of the better years for the west wall that I can remember for a while, and I think it's about the haze. It was very interesting when the building first opened, its first year, second solstice, a bunch of engineers, you'd think they'd be smart people. They knew that the sun basically is pretty well positioned, and so they thought if they'd buy me a free lunch at the spaghetti company, I'd come and give them a preview of the event the day before you were all here. And it was very poetic because they came here, the room was empty, and it was cloudy out. So there is justice out there, okay? But we don't have that today. So now we're starting to get a lot of action on the east wall. It's not quite up to speed on the other wall. But right now, with this sky condition, and look up in the candle tips right now. Your eye can see it, probably your digital camera will not. Film hardly ever made the mark. But look at how every column has a perfect symmetrical V, a dagger of light. So welcome to summer 2017 in the universe. Thank you all for coming. So you can just enjoy the cycle. If you walk over to the perimeter, you can put your hands in the light cascading down the walls. And again, simple things, simple materials, conceptual idea, and artistic reality.
And voters voting.
And voter, all of you made this happen without your bond issue. And so today, as we stand here overlooking Hans Park, that should be our next pledge to make it a park like no other, which is in the works for the last 6 years. So soon we'll have another environment to go to related to this event. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Just a reminder, we do have programming going on the first floor, the second floor, and
There it
the
is.
fourth floor from 1 to 4. Thank you again.
To the other side when it goes up.
Outside London, in a place called Essex.
Okay, sure. Okay. That's normal. You're near More Studio. Check it out. Check it out. The drug lord had lunch with him. He's been dead for 20 years. We're going to have lunch with him. Thank you so much. Hi. I'm Will. Hi, Wyatt. I looked over. Thank you.
Actually, while we were on the way here, I was like, I wonder if one of your best
Right.
Jim told me.
I think that's
He really wanted to.
the light, as the light passes on, as it reaches the web, it will dance with your vision. I think that's a really awesome thing.
You're in what grade? Are you in fifth grade yet?
I actually just went into fifth grade this year, and
Congratulations. That's when I decided to be an architect. I had a
Exactly.
wonderful teacher, Miss Tim, and she taught me to see and listen and draw. And I've just draw your hand, what you're seeing. That's the most important thing. What you just observed, you are a good candidate. You're curious and you're observant.
And I also like how the entire web of steel is kind of, well, it reminds me of spider web. I think that's also really cool because the library kind of everywhere there's strands. And when you look up, I think it's awesome.
Thank you for that. So look up the guide. Oh, no, you're here. Okay. That's your dad. Okay, that's your, what? That's your,
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah, okay. Okay. I'm a good way to
No, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
He's got a good side. Yes, I mean, folks that can see a guy with a camera is pretty dangerous. In a good way. It's all excellent.
My dad has a camera. I use it.
Yeah, your name again?
Wyatt.
Wyatt, good. Pleasure meeting you, Wyatt. I'm Will.
Too much, man.
No, don't give autographs. You don't? No. Once you start taking autographs, you think you're somebody important. That's danger.
My
Danger.
grandson knew I was coming, and he's a would-be architect. He
Would
said-
be? What's his name?
His name is Kelt. K-E-L-T-O.
Everyone's an architect. You know that?
What's that?
Everyone's an architect.
To some extent,
Some of us stick, some of us
You want to
don't.
look at my walls, they won't come together like this.
I built forts, I was a little like there. You got to build forts.
I got a. She doesn't go in my backyard.
Green glider in Los Angeles, Texas for a while. Super glider.
Oh, yeah.
Optical video back. It's optical fiber, but it's tuber back.
okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, we're bending light around curves.
Okay. I bought a book of yours on the library. Yeah, right. If I was to bring that by your office and call it, I'd rather not. Okay, that's fine. You got the memories. You got the book. That's all good. Okay.
All right, I met you once before.
Well, this
Okay.
is this the only time that will actually hit in the center? That ellipse?
Yep.
That's it?
Yep.
Only on solstice?
On that light feature, that one, well, at solar noon. Now look at the wall over there. Look at how it's cooking.
Yeah,
Look at how it just changed. It flipped out here. So lights went out here, came on there, right? No, but the alignment at exact solar noon, if you want to be a purist about it,
Okay.
it's going to be very subtle. If you come here for the next week at solar noon, you look at it, it'll be seconds that are changing, not minutes.
Right, okay, yeah.
And then it goes, say once, right?
Yeah.
Just like these little dagger pieces, they pop in here, they pop in winter, come here.
Okay.
Whole different game.
Okay.
Because again, that's what we're doing around the sun. So the room's been calibrated for this solar noon, this day, every year.
So you left Wisconsin when the Packers were hot, huh?
I remember the Lombardi days, right? Yeah.
I remember them too.
Yeah, okay.
Take care.
I talked about an hour ago on the phone, right?
Oh,
Mark? I
okay.
just want to thank you
Okay.
for letting me get here at the right time.
There we go. That's
Appreciate
good.
it
Saved
very
us some
much.
time. There's still some parking spaces.
You heard from Tom Hahn lately?
What?
He's up in Prescott?
I have not seen him for years ago.
Me either, yeah.
You know about that light?
What?
That light. That light, yes, actual light. This is below the molecule into
Okay.
the subatomic.
Oh, interesting.
So you have an action of
Powers
light.
of 10. Okay.
You have an action. Well, there's another thing for them. This is the action of light that happens.
Oh, yeah.
They call them muons and
Excellent,
gluons. I believe scripturally it's called the light of love. When we're blessed. I hear a couple of notions careful how you speak on certain things. Good for you. Thank you. I need to tell things you're awesome.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Bruder, can I?
Yes.
I want to say my uncle lives in and his family. I don't know if you remember them. Bill Graham and Susan Graham. They worked with you with Musical for the Arts for a project. So yeah. So this is They are. He's.
I remember meeting Paul Slayer up at Arco Santi a long time ago. Like 3 years later he died, but yeah.
I just think this is the best library I've ever been. Thank you so much. It's a privilege.
You ready to go?
Yeah, this is the best library.
I will. I'm Kathleen.
I used to go to the Philadelphia Public Library. Yeah, it's a lot better. It's a good library in Philadelphia.
You better sit down and then I'll get a chair.
Yeah, better books. Of course.
Yeah.
This is your lunch hour.
I'll get my watermelon.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we're going down the stairs. We gotta take this thing. We need one of these. Yeah, a few of these actually. What's the next event going on at? I could rub my feet to this point. That's what you need to get to. Kind of here. Go right there. Is this the museum? You don't get to go in here? No. What's this room? Technical services, staff only. Administration, I guess second. The second floor.
That's what they find. No, he's cool. But he knows. I've already told him.